160 days, boosting aid into Gaza and reconstruction after Israeli troops withdraw also up for grabs. ABC's Martha Raddatz has more.
The destruction there is enormous. 2.6 million people, 90% it is estimated, have been displaced, and Hamas says 46,000 have been killed.
President Biden says elements of the deal are similar to the plan he introduced last May. He delivers his final address to the nation tonight before leaving office. Confirmation hearings on Capitol Hill continue today for President-elect Donald Trump's key cabinet picks. It included Marco Rubio for Secretary of State and Pam Bondi, tapped to be Attorney General. Crews in Southern California still dealing with strong winds for one more night. This is ABC News. Global experts are proposing a new way to define and diagnose obesity.
Obesity would no longer be defined solely by body mass index, a calculation of height and weight. It would be combined with measurements like waist size plus evidence of connected health problems. Reports in the Lancet Diabetes and Endocrinology Journal. It suggests two categories: people with clinical obesity, which includes things like heart disease, high blood pressure, liver or kidney disease, would be eligible for treatment. Preclinical obesity would indicate a risk for those types of problems.
ABC's Chuck Sievertson. According to the CDC, about 40% of American adults have been diagnosed with obesity. The FDA is floating a proposal to make cigarettes less addictive by capping their nicotine content. The agency says the change would help millions quit smoking and stop some people starting. The plan, though, comes in the final days of the Biden administration. I'm Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down. Get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pegol is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Welcome to the Common Sense Conservatives, a political discussion group about current events and other government-related matters every Wednesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Right here on WSMN 1590 AM, WSMN 95.3 FM, and streaming live on wsmn.live. Making sense of the inverted reality we are subject to every day, the Common Sense Conservatives are here to help bring you back to reality. Now, your hosts, Chris Wyatt, Todd McKinley, and John Gorman.
And here we are once again, folks. It is January 15th, 2025. Can you believe that already 2 weeks into the new year? Time just keeps slipping right on by like the sound, like sands through the hourglass. Wasn't that a soap opera once upon a time?
So are the days of our lives.
Yes, sands through the hourglass. That is classic. Of course, that show's no longer on, isn't it? It's canceled, isn't it, Todd? I don't think it's around anymore. But welcome back to the program, folks. Like Todd's having connectivity issues there in Eastern Tennessee. I think that they have the hamsters in Eastern Tennessee are too small, John. They can't spin the wheel fast enough.
I think that's what it is. Must be that Tennessee Valley thing going on.
No, I see Todd switched from hamsters to raccoons. That's got a raccoon on the wheel now.
I don't know what's up with this app. I'm having some trouble with it. We'll just blame the app for now. But I do have a new MacBook Pro. It's about to be unboxed here in a little bit. So next show, very likely, I'm going to be up on a whole new system versus just using my iPhone.
You couldn't get a few minutes to unbox it today. It must be he's trying to get to that connection in that Trump campaign. He's going to be like a big wig over there, you know?
Right. No, I did have to go pick up my tickets for the inauguration at my congressional district office, and I did have a BOE meeting. I know everybody always says, oh, you have BOE meetings. That's the excuse, but I did have one.
So you will be at the inauguration then?
Yes, sir. I will be up there. So
Okay, all right. No, I asked because I haven't been able to make any plans. Looks like I won't be attending. It's a bit late in the game to figure this out now. John, what's going on there? You're giving me vertigo, man. We keep switching from spot to spot.
I have selected locations here on the screen, and when Todd pops out, it threw us all out of whack.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
We got to have balance, bro. Symmetry and everything.
Okay, folks. What I'm mentioning there is that we're of course sharing a session where we're video. We see each other as well as this going out over the radio and the internet, and we can see each other on the screen. It was like the Hollywood squares there. I kept getting moved around. I felt like Paul Lynn.
Oh,
really,
wow.
seriously.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, yes. Or Charles Nelson Riley.
Oh, yeah.
Witchy poo. Witchy poo. Anyway, but seriously, folks, our long national nightmare is coming to an end, gentlemen. John, we are just 5 days away from salvation.
Correction, 4 days, 16 hours, 53 minutes, and 41 seconds. I got it on screen. I am doing the countdown, baby.
Not that you're keeping score at home.
I am watching the clock.
Are we ever in a buoyant mood tonight, ladies and gentlemen? The celebrating. By the way, let me put something out there. You know, it's been miserable. It's been horrible. Millions of Americans have been pushed into poverty. Wealth has evaporated. Millions of people are dead around the world, probably 600,000 Ukraine and Russia alone. All because of this ineptitude of the Depends spokesman, Joseph Robinette Biden. But think about this. If Trump had won, he wouldn't be in office when it comes time to renegotiate the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement, which comes up in 2026. So Canada, the 25% tariffs against Mexico and Canada, it might be an early shot across the bow for what comes in 2026 and much more favorable terms for us. We already got a better deal than NAFTA. We'll probably get an even better deal this time. What do you say, Todd? Do you think maybe that was just an early warning shot?
I think that's right. And you know what? Hey, you guys stole the election last time. Hey, that's okay because we're going to negotiate a great trade deal that's going to benefit all Americans.
Yeah, and I think the world's going to be better off for it. Lots to talk about tonight. As always, guys, Trump's External Revenue Service. I'm not sure where I sit on this one, but we'll talk about that as well as, the past week, there's been a lot of talk about the president's discussion on Panama and Greenland, but not so much on Panama. It kind of faded to the back burner. Everyone's focused on Greenland. They're just enamored with seal blubber and and dog sleds. And I don't know, the Inuit and coming and becoming our 51st state or U.S. overseas territory. That's really been the news everywhere. The media has rushed off to Greenland with their parkas on to give people's opinions to prove that Don Jr. did a setup. He hired homeless people. I'll tell you what, those homeless people got some really nice, $800 boots that they're wearing and nice parkas and everything. It really was a bunch of nonsense. But anyway, let's get into it for tonight. And we've got the LA wildfires, which are even wilder today than they were 4 or 5 days ago. Let's talk about that. Todd, any thoughts on this wildfire situation? Because according to Bill Burr, the useless, pathetic, boring comedian, the people who are commenting on the fire are just a bunch of dudes sitting in their undershorts and don't know anything about fires.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't have my undershorts on. I mean, I am wearing undershorts, but I got pants on as well. Okay. I think we do know a little bit about fires. And of course, think about this. It all stems from politics in California. The ineptitude of the Democrat Party there, of the governor and a series of governors won't allow actually forest and wildfire management to go in there and clear the underbrush. That's a big problem. Also, the policies with regards to their water and the way that they took a lot of the money that was supposed to go to EMS, to fire, to first responders. They allocated to DEI programs and other things like that. You got places where fire hydrants have been completely ripped out of the ground. There's not enough water to provide any water pressure in most of these areas because a lot of this water has been diverted to save some sort of fish that's not even in danger apparently. So many things that have went on, and it all stems back to politics and the Democrat Party in California being to blame.
Well, I would take a slight disagreement on some of those things. I think all of them are valid points, but I would lay all this blame on the lack of vision, the lack of leadership that's ever present in California, which has been run by Democrats now for 30 years and into the ground. And I'll just put out this example. When we're told by Newsom and by Democrats like Adam Schiff, Shifty Schiff, who's a senator now, and all the pundits saying that, this is climate change. It's an act of God. Nothing can be done. It isn't the politician's fault. I will give you the example of the John Paul Getty Museum in Brentwood and the other one that's located there, neither of which have burned to the ground despite the flames reaching within 6 feet of one of their buildings. Why? because they had 1 million gallons of water in a reservoir. They have 50,000 gallons of backup on top of that. They had their own pumps, their own source of electricity. They had their own fire breaks put in place, and they kept a team of 45 people on the ground. And that team kept the most valuable museum on the planet, dollar terms, with a $9 billion endowment from ever catching fire. So if they could do that, why can't we protect the neighborhoods by clearing the brush, by ensuring that the water lines have underground power lines that are dedicated, isolated, not reliant on the public power supply, and water that's available? Why can't we do simple things like that? Well, we can, but the left will try to distract and claim that those of us who actually have experience in this area don't know what we're talking about. John, what say you?
Well, I've been hearing a lot of talk that they're blaming the fires on the homeless people. So, in addition to what Todd had lined up there, I think that their economics and inability to make sure people could actually survive in California has probably helped lead up to these problems. There's a lot of claims about people setting fires. That I'm not sure about. I know I've seen silly videos on social media and things like that. One guy throwing a gas can out of his car into the woods. I'm like, well, what is that? But that could just be, staged nonsense, just people trying to bolster.
Well, you never know. There's a lot of discussion about arsonists and a lot of chasing down of arsonists here, and there's probably some truth. There's always people trying to take advantage of this. But there's this comment coming in from one of our viewers. This is a gentleman who used to live in California, lives in Utah now. And he says in less than 5, and by the way, he's a nominal Republican. He's not a true conservative, but he's a decent human being. He said, I grew up in California, I'm sorry, wrong one. In less than 5 days, Republicans will control all 3 branches of our federal government. And they have a popular mandate. That's a statement of fact. Mm-hmm. And what I have to say, I'd like to quote Tom McDonald. We love our homes, and if you don't pack your bags, you're free to go. Don't let the big door hit you where the good Lord splits you. Wave goodbye to Joe.
Yep, that's it. Sayonara, baby.
Oh, get out of here, Joe. Man, I cannot wait. My mind's going blank. I'll tell you what, I think I've gotten dumber listening to Joe Biden the last 4 years than I've ever been in my life.
Yep, absolutely. And I was listening to somebody yesterday, I think it was Jesse Kelly's show, and he was talking about Ukraine, talking about Joe Biden. And you think about this, Ukraine is kind of like a fighter that shouldn't be in the ring with, say, Mike Tyson in his prime, but is continuously propped up by people around you. You get knocked down by Mike Tyson, they pick you up and say, here you go, basically hit him again. You're still in the fight. They push you back out there. He might hit you again. You fall back down. He breaks your jaw, breaks your head. Well, but they keep propping you up. That's kind of like Ukraine against Russia right now. We keep propping them back up, spending our own treasure with regards to Ukraine, and knowing that they're not going to knock Russia out. They may get to a point where they kind of agree to kind of leave it where it's at. Trump's probably going to negotiate a good settlement. But regards to, the billions of dollars that we've lost, hundreds of billions of dollars, American taxpayer dollars that are completely lost because we kept propping somebody up that should have been knocked out in the first round.
It was never about propping Ukraine up. It was all about covering up Joe Biden's crimes and his ties to Ukraine and China. And in addition to that, it was all about the Europeans trying to find a purpose to exist, something to distract the people from the mass criminal invasion taking place in Europe, while the authorities in Britain arrest native Britons, Irishmen, Scots, Welsh, English for stating things on social media or walking on the street or daring to carry a British flag while allowing pedophiles, child groomers, rapists, murderers, and sex offenders walk the streets with no crime punishment whatsoever because, well, they didn't understand the law. It's allowed in their culture, except their culture isn't in the United Kingdom. It isn't in Germany. You're not allowed to grope 12-year-old girls at a Schwimmbad. You're not allowed to rape and gang rape 14-year-old German girls in Berlin and get away with it, except you are under these corrupt regimes. And that's what's been happening. This has all been a distraction. This and the amalgamation and the accumulation of wealth and power under the hands of the elite leftist scumbags of the planet, whether it's the United States, China, United Kingdom, France, Germany, South Africa, it doesn't matter. The papacy, they're all in charge. But a new day is coming. The tide is turning. And now I'm reminded of Deborah Harry. The tide is high. Anyway, the tide is high. It's time to turn the page, folks.
Pablo's got a good point here. Last Common Sense Conservative show with Joe Biden administration. What are we going to do for material?
Well, they said that about they said that about Rush Limbaugh. They said, "What are you going to do now that Clinton's gone?" And Rush was better than ever. We will be better than ever because we're genuine. We will hold the Trump administration to account. We expect on January 20th to Donald Trump's pens will run dry. They will have to get a gross of ballpoint pens to bring to him to sign executive orders, rescinding 625 million acres of offshore oil leases, blocked, gone. Rescinding transgenderism in the military, gone. The list goes on and on and on. Oh, by the way, putting communist Cuba back on the state sponsor of terrorism, which Joe Biden took off today, putting that back on. All of this will occur on January 20th. Donald Trump will need a physician and pain relievers for his cramped hand. He's not going to be able to write. You know what they need to do? Just get him a rubber stamp. Boom, boom, boom. Right. Because he needs to sign so many things and rescind so much of this garbage on day one. He has a mission, and we will hold him to task. Not to mention the pardons for the nonviolent fools who foolishly walked into the Capitol building and those who didn't go in the building who were hunted down. People who never even went near D.C., like Tario, who's in prison for sedition that he never committed. We will hold Trump to account.
You remind me of Pam Bondi right there. I don't know if you saw that segment or not, where
Yeah,
Schiff was going after her, and the way she handled that, and he kept trying to attack her on, well, you prove the president signing blanket pardons, and the way she was circumventing him. I mean, she proved exactly why Trump chose her right there.
Yeah.
I mean, she would not let Schiff get an inch on her. He tried to position her. He tried to use politics and give her a gotcha moment, and she just she nailed him. I mean, she walked all over him.
Yeah, I like how she said, weren't you censured for this very, very behavior and the same type of words? She called him out on that.
This type of questioning, yeah.
I didn't see any of Pam Bondi's because I was broadcasting for 3 or 4 hours today, and I figured the good part was over, and then I just didn't get back to it. I had to run out. So I'll have to watch that after the fact. But I did catch the initial stage of Pete Hegseth and his responses, and I thought he carried himself very well. And I thought that the behavior of Democratic members of that committee were disgusting and vile, and using ad hominem attacks with no basis in fact. And I thought his responses were good. To actually go after his daughter, that's disgusting, vile, and repulsive. To put that on the record with allegations of infidelity, when these scumbags, we know these are the same sort of people who used to diddle, congressional pages. Remember that? Remember that scandal?
Wasn't there like Barney Frank and had issues with the page? And
they have a slush fund to pay people off. They've had a slush fund for years, millions of dollars in slush fund up there. It's taxpayers' dollars that nobody can count for.
Weren't some of these pages a little underage or something? Or
oh no, they were. That was back around 1980 congressional page scandal. That was really disgusting, and it wasn't one or two; it was dozens, and it involved a lot of members of Congress. In fact, one of them was from Pennsylvania. One of them was from Pennsylvania. And then remember the AB scam, all that nonsense, all the members of Congress, so corrupt, so dirty. Look, I don't take my marching orders from members of Congress, and I never did, even serving in uniform. I tolerated, I was respectful, and I answered the questions of congressional delegations, but I vomited every time they left.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's funny as you get some of those members of Congress that come around and they think they know what they're talking about. And they want to try to tell you what to do. And it's like, you don't work for them. It's like, you just sit and look at them.
Yeah, you want to tell them that, but you can't. What I want to see, though, is I want to see the secret video. I'm sure somebody's going to record it at some point of Adam Schiff consuming hamsters and gerbils, just like on V, when you see his true lizard self.
He starts peeling his skin back. He's got
That's right. Skin, yeah. And his jaw unhinges and he swallows a gerbil. I can't wait to see that. What's that character's name? The female, I can't remember, but gosh, V, that was creepy.
I had forgotten all about that series until you brought it up. That was some time ago.
Yeah, that was. I mean, as a kid, that was one of the impactful moments I'll never forget. Diana. I was like, oh gosh, oh man, CGI, but primitive CGI. But imagine what they do with it now. But yeah, no, that's Adam Schiff, the lizard boy. I can't wait to see him exposed for that one day as they show the video of that. Anyway, Joe Biden promised a smooth transition, gentlemen, and I'm sure I've missed some of the things that he did, but all the things he did to ensure a smooth transition with a flurry of court appointments. He couldn't wait for Trump to appoint them.
Right.
625 million acres of offshore oil and gas leases. That's 1/4 of the surface area of the United States is banned into perpetuity. Pardons beyond the pale for vile criminals who murdered people and raped people, and not just people, accused of, white collar crime. And then now taking Cuba off the list of state sponsors of terrorism, not to mention the endless stream of billions for Ukraine up to the last minute. It's vile and disgusting. I mean, this guy is such a pathological liar. And, this whole thing about him being demented, I'm beginning to wonder if it's just been a big act so he could just stumble through his presidency, because he really is signing stuff left and right, and he's running around. Well, maybe he is demented. I mean, I don't know if you saw him taking credit for making the world a better place than he found it and setting Trump up for success. Actually, he's correct. He has set Donald Trump up for success. Everything's so dorked up. Trump can't do anything except improve, Todd.
You're absolutely correct, 100%. Yeah, at this point, everything that that Donald Trump's going to do is going to look like it's the greatest thing ever, even though he could just be something very simple. Hey, I created a national speed limit of 100 miles per hour. You guys can have fun. Well, that's a good thing. I love to drive fast sometimes. He can do anything at this point. It'd probably be a stupid idea to set it at 100 miles an hour, but he can do anything at this point. He's going to look great. I just think that's the way it is.
He already is. That's just he
No,
and he's not in office.
We've already seen it today. Hamas is releasing 33, not all, but 33 hostages that have a ceasefire agreement. This would have happened if Trump a week and a half ago hadn't say, they'll be all hell to pay if the hostages aren't released by my inauguration. Remember, same thing. Trump, when Reagan came in office, they didn't release the hostages in Tehran. There was going to be hell to pay, and guess what? They were all released on the day that Reagan was sworn in. So, I mean, look, Trump is already having success. The business confidence has been boosted immensely in December, despite the fact that inflation has roared back. We've seen consumer confidence pick up. We are seeing all sorts of positive indicators, all on the excitement that Trump is coming back into office. But listen, we get down when we see the wokeism in the media and social media, and we also see the leftists destroying the world. But there is hope. I mean, just look at the past few years. Angela Merkel disappeared in Germany, ostensibly conservative. She's a communist. She was never anything except a socialist communist from the former East Germany. The worst mistake Helmut Kohl made. But Angela Merkel, gone. New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, gone. Australia, Scott Morrison and Dan Andrews, gone. Canada, Juicy Trudeau, soon to be gone. UK, Keir Starmer, the man needs oxygen tanks because he's on life support. Keir Starmer, if he doesn't get out of town soon, there will be tar and feathers coming for him at Whitehall, and he will be strung up off of Big Ben. You watch. I'm telling you, that guy is becoming increasingly unpopular, and his government is going to fall very, very soon. As soon as they challenge. And look, right now, any government that's challenging Donald Trump is falling by the wayside, or they're backing down. Claudia Sheinbaum. Who's the American? Think he can put these tariffs on Mexico? We will fight you tooth and nail. We are spending money reinforcing the border and building camps now to put illegal immigrants in when Donald Trump sends them back. Thank you, oh good Lord, Donald Trump, for not invading.
I think you sounded more Indian, but that's all right.
That did sound kind of Indian, didn't it?
I think it got transitioned a little in the middle.
I can only I started Mexican and I went Indian. I can only do the Mexican stuff when I do Cheech and Chong, and I'm not very good at it. Like license or registration. It's on the back of the car, man. Anyway, okay. That's why I don't do accents. I got really bad at them. I used to be better a long time ago. Anyway, so I'll mention here, Katrine Jakobsdottir of Iceland is no longer the prime minister. Another leftist that fell by the wayside. Look, they're falling all over the place. The only constant in all this has been Hungary and Orban. He's been there throughout this. He survived. He's still around. So we're seeing the leftists collapse everywhere. It's good news. There are exceptions. Costco arrogantly decided to keep its inequality policy, the DEI, and discriminate against people based on their ethnicity, their gender, and race, claiming that they're being equal. Costco will pay a price for that, including the cancellation of my membership. However, I will be buying stock so I can become an activist shareholder. Just letting you know now, Costco, you're on notice.
Yeah, you got to show up at the shareholders meeting, get your 2 seconds to speak, and let them have it. Why not?
I'll put a shareholder proposal together, and we will destroy that company from within. If they're going to discriminate against Americans over this bogus DEI when it's falling apart, the arrogance. Yet another company founded in a leftist state, Washington State, and we've got Target in Minnesota, we've got Best Buy in Minnesota, all these companies in leftist states, which is ironic. They make their billions off of us, and then they turn against us. Shameful, shameful, shameful. Even Walmart.
Yeah, Walmart's
the same way. Walmart proudly back in the 80s, we only buy American. That lasted 5 minutes.
Now Walmart, you go over to a certain section, where they have all the let's say, they have condoms and stuff like that, but they have all sorts of, sexual toys, if you will, and it's not like some little tiny little thing that vibrates. I mean, it's the full blown thing, full display, but they have it behind like a glass case that you have to get, you have to get some help to basically, if you want to buy one. I'm like, should be at a basically a sex store or something like that. I mean, not at Walmart, especially not on full display like it is. I mean, come on.
So they
John,
they took down the guns and the ammunition and put up the dildos. Is that what you're saying?
The dildos. There you go. I guess you can say that on there, right?
John, what Walmarts is Todd shopping at? Is he confusing?
I don't shop at.
Is he confusing?
Sounds like he's a frequent flyer.
Is he confusing that with adult pleasure shops?
No. Walmart. Actually, the person who alerted me to this just walked in here. So yeah, it's a real deal, and it's
is that a form of W? You politicking there, Todd?
No,
it wasn't me. I wasn't there. It really wasn't me.
It has no place, out in the public like that, right in front of everybody. Especially you got little kids walking by, like, "What's that?"
Oh my goodness! Listen,
you got a point. They used to be more. They're supposed to be a family-oriented stores. Supposed to be the type of store where you take your children and not be concerned about these type stuff. But with the leftist mindset, yeah, that's the sort of thing you can expect. Is they disregard your family and family values. They have for how many decades now?
As I continue my cultural music references tonight, Todd is playing the role of Shaggy. It wasn't me. Picture this. We were both butt naked there on the bathroom floor. Wasn't me.
Yeah, even though she saw you, it was you, but it wasn't me. No.
Wasn't me, baby. Wasn't me. You must have been on something. That's right. Denial. Not a river in Egypt. But seriously, look, we're kind of in a buoyant mood. I think we're a little giddy. I think that's fair to say tonight. Excited about what is coming. It's just hours away now, guys. I mean, John's probably got the list about how many hours it is right up there on the screen. How many hours is it, John?
4 hours, 4 days, 16 hours.
Oh, no. Minutes. 4 days. That's 24, 48, 96. And how many plus the hours?
You wanted me to do all that math. I was just going to give it to you like I see it, man.
Wait.
Wait. No,
I got to do that with Common Core. Could you guys take over the show for about 20 minutes while I work that?
We'll take over the show for the remaining hour and a half.
No, but I'm going to work it out in Common Core. It'll take at least 20 minutes.
We'll take over the show for the remaining hour and a half while you do that.
Have you seen this stuff they teach kids? My goodness, what morons design this stuff? It's regressing. We've gone back to the Stone Age on how to do mathematics. It's unbelievable. Right. No wonder people are confused about pronouns and don't know that we have 3 branches of the federal government. Our education is going backwards.
I think it's a matter of learned helplessness.
Oh, it is on the screen. I can see it. 4 days, 16 hours, 32 minutes, and 12 seconds.
Yeah,
look at that.
It's up there.
It dawned on me right now. Wow, look.
That's the 270 to win countdown clock.
271. We already won.
Well, that's the name of the website. I mean, they got to stick with it. It's their election website, but now they got the countdown clock for the inauguration. So that's what I'm using. Love it.
The External Revenue Service. That's a little confusing, I think, to most people, because you're going to create another branch of the government. We're talking about reducing the government. In order to do it, some of those responsibilities already reside other places, like the collection of tariff or duties falls under Customs and Border Protection. So I guess you'll have to peel them away from Homeland Security and hand them over to External Revenue Services. I don't know. What do you think, Todd?
I think we're talking about cutting government. There's other ways to go about this and adding more government that you'll never get rid of. And then, of course, in the future, whenever Republicans aren't in charge, they're going to use it basically as a weapon to go against Americans who disagree with them ideologically.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, John.
Well, the thing of it is the Treasury Department handles taxes technically, right? That's where our taxes are supposed to go. Then they create the IRS as an enforcement branch for the Treasury Department. Now you want to create the External Revenue Services. How much money is that going to cost? It's just counterproductive, as Todd was leading into. It doesn't make any sense to me. Just you're going to collect the money anyway. The states are going to collect it for you through the sales and things like that, and send it on over to the Treasury Department. Why with the nonsensical? I don't understand.
I don't know. I guess there'll be more to follow. We'll wait and see.
Yeah.
But hey, have you guys been following? I mean, I don't really listen to him much, so the whole thing was just a bit odd. But this kerfluffle between Steve Bannon and Elon Musk, Todd, have you seen that? I mean, apparently Bannon is like, I'm going to take Musk out. I'm going. What is going on?
There's jealousy going on. Probably Musk gets his own office at the White House, and
it could be jealousy, but it certainly has to do with the H-1B visa. That's the kerfluffle where it all came out about. But apparently, Steve Bannon is up in arms about Elon Musk, and he swears he's going to take him out of Trump's orbit. I think that's interesting. But is it Bannon out of Trump's orbit? Hasn't he been out of it for about 5 years now or 6 years? I'm a little confused by the whole thing. It's a strange story to follow, to say the least.
Yeah, I've not seen anything on that, and it's funny as I see Steve Bannon occasionally on different podcasts. Of course, I think he has his own show as well, so I'll see him pop up. I've not seen him or heard him say anything about that, so that's kind of news to me. I'll have to do research.
It may be fake news. The media likes to run all kinds of things out there, but look, as we approach the Trump administration, John, I just want to say that I'm very glad that some states have their priorities in order. And I'd like to send a special warm greeting out tonight to two states, near and dear to my heart, two leftist paradises. That would be the Commonwealth of California, the Bear Republic, and also to the great state of New Jersey. I'd like to say, well done, guys. First off, California has passed legislation setting aside $50 million to Trump-proof the state to fight the Trump administration, which isn't even in government, on legal issues that they anticipate they're going to have to fight them on. And the state of New Jersey is stockpiling contraceptives for women, using New Jersey taxpayers' money, which is outrageously high, to buy contraceptives for women who won't buy them for themselves. Here's what I have to say. If you can't afford contraceptives, go to a free clinic. If you're too lazy to go to free clinic, then maybe you shouldn't be engaging in activities that lead to your fertility coming into play. I'm just saying, why are other people responsible for paying for your birth control? Obama tried this nonsense and the Catholic Church defeated him. This is utter nonsense. We should not be responsible for paying for people's contraception unless we are engaged with that person in those Congress. This is what I have to say on the matter, Todd.
Right, yeah. So it shouldn't be me paying for your contraception. I should be paying for your abortion, and none of that. You should exercise good common sense. If you can't afford it, or if you don't have the actual intellectual fortitude to be able to raise a child, you're lazy, you're druggy, or whatever the case may be, you just don't want to. Exercise good caution, and I won't say the old saying, but use protection or abstain. Period. Don't sit there and tell me I have to pay for something because you make bad decisions.
So well, I think where do they get these contraceptions? I mean, are they getting us Trojan providing this at a discount for the government?
Probably being delivered through the mail.
Is this going to be Chinese made and they're going to put Trojan out of business? Another fine American.
No, we're talking about birth control pills. That's what we're talking about. They're not condoms. Condoms you can get anywhere for, you can get them. But it's look, I mean, if I'm expected to pay for someone's birth control, I think they should be expected to pay for my weekend in Cabo. Hey, why not?
Why not?
Turnabout's fair play.
Well, they say they don't. They say they don't want Republicans in the bedroom, but here we are, Democrats entering the bedroom. That's basically what's going on.
But Todd, of course we're going to be in the bedroom. We're all drooling over that stunning beauty, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Oh yeah.
She's such a fiery Latina. Every time she gets up and speaks, I get so excited. Oh, Alexandra.
Actually, she does look a lot better when she keeps her mouth shut, but
well, that's a true statement. But yeah, no, she was up complaining the other day about women are bleeding out in parking lots. These people have no shame.
Oh.
Abortion is legal in all 50 states and 4 territories. You leftist liars need to stop right now. Not a single state has banned the procedure. Shameful that they don't, but not a single state has banned the procedure. So stop lying to the public. And for you rubes out there that believe this nonsense and actually march and spew your hatred and behave like spit monkeys, knock it off. Knock it off. It's ridiculous. Anyway, enough of that story. Moving right along. What about Karen Bass, Todd? I mean, this woman is tone deaf. She smirks and laughs while the city burns. And then apparently she fired her diversity hire fire chief because she criticized her. She couldn't take the criticism.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. It's not the fire chief. It's the person who hired her. It's the mayor of L.A. You're at fault here. And at the same time, all the funding that you went to buy all this DEI artwork and put wherever the heck you put it throughout L.A., that could have saved probably a number of homes. That could have saved probably millions of dollars worth of damage and probably saved a number of lives as well. But yet you had to go out and play this DEI woke nonsense, and focusing on things that weren't part of your actual duty as a mayor, as a chief executive of a very large, very important city in our country.
Well, exactly. And it goes beyond that. I mean, did you see the video of the rather large, and I'm not fat shaming, I'm talking about physically large, imposing like a rugby lock, LA firefighter, whom I believe is a woman, who was talking about, when you go to a fire, people want to be able to identify. I'm sorry. The last time that I was pulled out of a burning building, I didn't ask to see someone take their mask off so I could determine their gender, their skin pigmentation, or their ethnic orientation.
Right.
Who feels reassured by seeing a firefighter? I mean, it's one thing. It's one thing to make this stupid argument that, well, patrolling the streets of Crenshaw or East LA, I felt comfortable because the cops were Latin, or I felt comfortable because they were black. That's a dumb argument, but at least on the surface, it has plausibility. But when you're in a burning building and they're wearing a mask, an oxygen mask, and stop it. John, you were going to jump in there.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, even the most extreme leftists, I'm sure, aren't going to be in a burning building yelling, no, leave me for a black man. Leave me for a black man to rescue me, or a woman to rescue me. I'm pretty sure they're going to be very grateful for whoever pulls them out of the building.
No, I must be pulled out by a smoking hot transgender or I won't play.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, for crying out loud. And you think about this. Let's talk about Pete Hegseth, for example. He talked about some of this stuff, in our military. You want people that can actually do the job, that can make the other guy dead, essentially, or can do his job that relates to making the other guy dead or making the other country submit. You don't care if it's a man or a woman or whatever the case may be. You want somebody who can actually do the job. And if it's a woke hire or DEI or somebody who just should never be in the military or in a firefighter or first responder, they shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be about the gender or what they identify as or the multi-hyphen, whatever they have. You're this, and this. I don't care. Can you do the job? Can you do it effectively? Can you pull me out of the building? Can you save lives? Can you ensure that, you know how to actually stop fires? You know how to put in fire breaks. You know how to marshal your forces. You know how to utilize them. If you're an emergency manager where you're an incident commander, do you know how to utilize every asset that's available to you on scene? I mean, not just knowing how to use the rescue squad, but you know how to use everybody. You know how to employ your ladders, whatever the case may be. You want somebody who can do the job, not a woke hire.
Well, I agree 100%. Folks, you're listening to the Common Sense Conservatives. We're here every Wednesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And in fact, even on holidays, we're here on Christmas Day. We're here again on New Year's. Exciting stuff. 1590 on your AM dial. 95.3 on the FM dial, WSMN from Southern New Hampshire, Nashua. And you can catch us on the internet in a host of different places, a lot of different sites, including my sites and Billy Painter's sites and a few other places. We're all over the internet. So feel free to listen to us every Wednesday night where we talk about apropos topics related mostly to the United States, occasionally delve overseas, but mostly on the U.S. And tonight we're talking about, oh my goodness, everything under the sun, including the Los Angeles fires, which everybody's talking about because it's not over. It's only getting worse out there. It is shocking, absolutely shocking what's happened. But when you build houses 3 feet apart in the middle of a desert with no water and you leave shrub laying around and you have a woke fire department. Look, the thing I was going to not take issue with you earlier, Todd, but diverge with you a little bit is there's been a lot of talk about, well, she cut funding for the fire department. That's true, but it was a token amount. The bigger issue here is the city of Los Angeles spent $1.3 billion on the homeless last year and just $786 million on firefighting. There's something wrong with that picture. I think that's a bigger picture. That's completely the opposite direction should be. That money should be spent on the primary reason for governance at the local level is fire and safety.
Yeah,
that's it. That's it. I mean, there's ordinances to ensure smooth running of the city, infrastructure, but that's what it's all about. Protection, safety, and security. That's why we form governments, to protect ourselves. And they can't even perform that basic task. Instead, they encourage homelessness. They welcome homelessness. They call themselves a sanctuary city for criminal alien invaders, and the city just drops off the charts. Speaking of dropping off the charts, look at all the celebrities that lost their big homes in Pacific Palisades and other places. I mean, there's some big names out there that lost houses, Todd.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of celebrities, and this is through social media, that have come out and said that they're going to sue in the state of California. I'm like, here's a person, or here are people who helped get the Democrat Party established as a powerhouse out there. So basically, you've done this to yourself. So who are you going to sue? Yourself? take your lawsuit and shove it up your fourth point of contact and move on. You got enough money. You probably got insurance. You're going to be fine. It's the everyday people that are getting screwed, that are getting pinched, that aren't going to have money to rebuild, that the insurance is probably not going to cover it, that are going to probably have to try to move somewhere else. And good luck being able to afford that.
Well, one of the things that's particularly satisfying, although I'm sure not for him and in the aggregate, was James Woods has become a thorn in the left side.
I love it. He is so funny.
James Woods, an incredible actor, a great director who's been blackballed in Hollywood for some time. He doesn't care. He's up there in years, but very talented actor and director. But James Woods was a thorn in the side when Jack Dorsey ran Twitter, and he was being attacked and censored all the time. And of course, people knew him for his acting, but they know him especially for that. James Woods has never been a person to whine or complain. James Woods is a person that just says it like it is. And he did that as the fires unfolded. And he showed footage evacuating and all this stuff. And then when he left, he was being interviewed and he said, well, unfortunately, I think our home is gone. I think it's all gone. Everything we had is gone. It all burned up. That's what we've been told. It's unfortunate. But he wasn't crying. He was just, telling people what was going on. And the left just reveled in it. They didn't even know the status of his house. Oh, look at James Woods crying. Couldn't happen to him. These evil, sick, demented people. The most satisfying thing for me is that James Woods' house in Pacific Palisades is untouched, as if an act of providence. God shone down upon James Woods for being a good human being. Now, the bad part is that it's a wasteland. His street, the side of the street, everybody survived. The other side, everything's completely gone. Literally 30 feet across the street, everything's just, it looks like Nagasaki in 1945. I mean, rebuilding there or staying there is, I don't even know if it's going to be an option, but at least their home didn't burn. The things that are important to them, they're in the home. If they want to vacate it, they can take those things with them. So the sick, twisted behavior of leftists, I didn't cheer when I heard that, Paris Hilton's house had been torched. I didn't cheer when that slime ball who led Black Lives Matters, 2 of her 3 houses burned down. I didn't cheer about that. That's horrific. But they cheered. They were excited. They were giddy. They were having little mini orgasms that James Woods' house burned down, and it didn't. And I absolutely love it. That is sweet justice. And again, I think divine providence, John. I think maybe somebody shined down from above on James Woods.
Oh, yeah. I would think we got a caller wants to talk a little bit about the wildfires. What do you think?
Is it James Woods? Bring him in. If it's James Woods.
James Woods. If it was James Woods, that'd be pretty interesting. But no, your line's open there, Danny. What do you think?
Well, first of all, as far as I'm concerned, everybody knows that President Trump warned Governor Gavin Newsom. Anyway, right? Everybody knows that. He warned him several times. He had to get rid of the brush, do controlled burns, and stock up on water. There's some other things that I'm probably leaving out. But the thing here is the comparison. It's just very interesting how the dirty media, is compared. And you got the shills for Ron DeSantis. They're all going to the media. You got freaking Ken Cuccinelli going on different radio stations, propping up DeSantis. Listen, this political grandstand, as far as I'm concerned, there's no difference. Since when when you're in the presidential primary, do you have a debate with a governor? Especially when they have the same dirty California Kevin McCarthy donors. Gavin, Ron DeSantis, they're both dirty. They're no good. And it's interesting how President Trump last Tuesday specifically was talking about how they're still counting ballots. And it turns out, I looked into it, it's in California that's happening. So we talk about rigged elections, in swing states, New Hampshire, this is a real thing, but it's also going on in California. So, and that was the thing when they had the recall. The people rejected him. They voted out George Sescom in L.A. They rejected Newsom, and then what's his name went up against him and lost, but didn't fight for his election. I'm not thinking of his name right now, but anyway. That being said, some of this stuff is starting to break, because if you look at Senator Padilla in California, the way he treated Pam Bondi today, and he brought up the election. And he doesn't know what he's talking about, because if you look, Okay, he's attacking her over the election, doesn't let her talk, and all you have to look is prior to the November 3rd, 2020 election, Marxist Communist Democrats used the virus to inflame fear, and then the Democrats went to the courts and judges to change election laws, universal mail-in voting and early voting, which is illegal. It made it a fraudulent election before the election, okay, because they violated state constitutional voting laws on the books, separation of powers, because the judges are supposed to rule on laws, not make or change laws, and only the state legislators can change the election laws. Okay, so, and that's after they put it on the ballot, get the necessary 2/3 majority vote from we the people, empowering the state legislators to change the election law. There's a court case, Moore, that went to the Superior Court on June 27th. Check it out. Okay, 2023. Moore versus Harper, okay, which set a precedent, okay, that would have helped President Trump on how illegal elections failed to follow the constitutional state election laws. Okay, so things aside, that when that came out, there was 3 elections that got overturned. One at the Louisiana Supreme Justice, one in Georgia Supreme Court, and one in Connecticut. Okay, so things are starting to break now. On December 18th, 2024, in Arizona, the Arizona Superior Court found that Secretary of State of Arizona altered the election procedure manual without authorization of the state legislators. This is going on in New Hampshire, where they changed the election laws in the handbook and they mask it and they change the laws, and they're not the laws that are on the Constitution of Arizona or the laws that are on the Constitution of New Hampshire. So they're changing these laws illegally, and this is being done by the state Secretary of State. Okay, so this has got to be. I mean, this stuff is starting to break. And there's even one in New Hampshire with Daniel Richard versus Governor Sununu on 9/12/2024. Okay, the New Hampshire Supreme Court found, based on the alleged fact that we determined that plaintiff Mr. Richard has sufficiently demonstrated his right to claim relief and therefore demonstrated standing. So the next step is they're going to trial. Okay, that's the next step. And Governor Sununu, Secretary of State David Scanlon, Attorney General John Formella, you got also it's going to be the Speaker Sherman Packard. They're all going to trial over this stuff. So it's coming. It's coming. So the people got to, as far as the pets, okay, that's the thing. The DC sewer are coming after the Pete Hegseth, Kash Patel, and Governor Kristi Noem, Tulsi Gabbard, because they're America first. That's what's going. That's what it is.
That's what they do, Dan.
They're not tied to dirty military and media industrial complex money, lobbyist money, special interest money, and globalist money. And that's why, so they can be more like President Trump. It's as simple as that. These people, they represent. They're part of the America First movement. You know.
Yeah, that's the left. You know, left and right knows you can always count on them to break the laws and try to circumvent the laws, and well, they've been trying to reconstruct our country, haven't they? I mean, that's what it comes down to. They want to turn it into something that's never meant to be. What do you think about? I see Patty here is making a comment towards us, and she's talking about she hopes these criminals are held accountable by the Trump administration. What do you think, man?
You were breaking up for a bit, so I might have missed a little bit what you said.
Oh no, I was just saying. I see a comment here in the comment section where Patty's saying she hoped the criminals of this current administration are held accountable from the next administration. Man, what do you think? That's what it needs to be. We need some investigations, and we need to start bringing this stuff to the surface so we can get it worked out later for future elections.
Well, absolutely. I think they're going to be investigated. I see some stuff I know there's some more stuff that's going to be breaking. I think these court cases get to court. I think Trump's going to definitely do something. My buddy said something broke today, and I haven't looked at it yet. So things are starting to break. And the thing is, is we got to keep talking about it. We got to keep pushing on it. I call numerous stations talking about this stuff, and we got to keep it. Some of these people tell me, oh, you can't keep talking about it. No. You've got to educate the people so that they can hold the state legislators accountable with what's going on in their state. It's as simple as that. If we don't say nothing, nothing will happen. And
Well, this is true.
We got lucky with President Trump this time. Next time it's going to be a lot harder.
Yeah.
And we got to make these U.S. senators accountable for what they're doing. You got Lisa Murkowski, okay, who's in, excuse me, I got a cold. So she's I got a 45 voting record. She's the Liz Cheney of the U.S. Senate. She voted to convict President Trump in the sham impeachment trial. Okay, you got Susan Collins, 40 F voting record in Maine. Okay, so and those two states, along with New York, they have ranked choice voting. Those are systems built for fraud. So it all goes back to corrupt elections. If we can't control our elections, some of the seats are hard to win. President, state U.S. Senate, U.S. Congress, and the state Senate. Those are real hard seats. The bigger the area, the harder to win the seat. So if you can't clean up the elections, it's going to be a lot more difficult. And you can't get America First people in there because they're going to try to rig the elections. They always do it. If you look around, look at your voting record. You got even in the Republican Party, you have more rhinos than America First Republicans. They rigged the election in the primary so that in the general they guaranteed to win. The deep state wins every time.
We've covered that a number of times on the show, but Dan, we got to get moving on here. I appreciate you calling in, but we got Chris has got some stuff on his mind. He wants to get out there. All right, thanks for calling in, man. You have a good night.
Thanks, sir.
Bye.
Chris has got some stuff on his mind. What is that? Chris, I've always got stuff on my mind.
Always.
Chris always do. I can see you're thinking over here. You got some stuff you want to get out there. So let's
well, he tipped the hourrepeating upside down already, so he's ready to go.
Sense of the hourglass. These are the days of our lives.
Repeating back.
Oh my goodness. Right. So, the confirmation hearings are underway. I thought we'd get to the next hour, but since we've wrapped that up, let's go. We got a few minutes left to sell. Let's get started on it. First out of the gate, of course, was Pete Hegseth, and then Pam Bondi was today. There's no constitutional requirement for these hearings. This is rules that the Senate set up to confirm, because it is their role to confirm presidential appointments, but there's nothing in the Constitution says they have a right to a hearing and you must present yourself. They pick and choose. And for instance, as a commissioned officer, I had to be confirmed by the Senate, each promotion, and to be selected, nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate. But I never appeared before the Senate. Ironically, though, funny story, when I was in Liberia, rebuilding the Armed Forces Library, the Liberians so much want to emulate the American system. And some of them actually understand it better than Americans do, but they decided that confirmations must be done. So the Senate Armed Services Committee, which is a lot smaller than our Senate Armed Services Committee, met in Liberia, and they insisted that they must confirm all of the officers appointed as second lieutenants. Fair enough. But they wanted them to appear before the Senate committee.
Wow.
And I was called to the Liberian Senate Armed Services Committee to be present when they were asked questions of those who were about to be commissioned as second lieutenants. It was quite an enlightening experience, especially when sitting across the table from a known war criminal, Prince Johnson, who was involved in the taking out the previous president, having him castrated and his testicles stuffed in his mouth. Sorry for that graphic image. And then having him shot and killed. Yeah, he was a member of the Senate when I was there. And that was fascinating to say the least. But we've got these Senate confirmation hearings going on now. They're going to continue for some time. And quite frankly, I think that the behavior of the Democrats has been repulsive. They talk about, Hakeem Jeffries in the joint session of Congress when they got the new speaker. Congratulating the speaker said, the Democrats, we accept the results of elections. And I'm thinking Stacey Abrams, Hillary Clinton, 2000, 2004, 2016. Yeah, you accept election results. I don't think so. But they act as if they're going to play nice, and they just come out like nasty, nasty, nasty attack dogs. I mean, this crap that went on yesterday with the Hegseth thing, in bringing up the guy's daughter with the child, and this talk of infidelity and open hearing for it, and they have no evidence of it whatsoever. And Pete Hegseth answered the questions and said, that's been disproven, simply not true. It's really, really twisted, Todd. These Democrats claim that they're going to play nice, but of course they don't. We already see Schiff lying.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the one incident with regards to Pete Hegseth, he wasn't actually married. He was a personality on Fox News. He invited out to California to speak at the California Republican Women, large group in California. Ended up at the bar afterwards at the hotel he was speaking at. Some of the ladies that were there, apparently they said, "Oh, Pete's getting a little, a little drunk. He's getting a little whatever." And he's a flirty guy, whatever. He was much younger then. But, the person who was assigned to be his handler, if you will, was also a California Republican woman. Basically came to the bar, picked him up, and walked him to his room. Ended up spending the night there with her husband also in the hotel, different room, mind you. And then all of a sudden got back to her hotel, and her husband's like, "Where the heck are you?" He had texted and called, whatever. And she basically told Pete, "Oh, I'm going to get in a lot of trouble for this, whatever." And he's like, I just tell him whatever. I don't know. And next thing you know, she's saying, "Oh, he raped me." And of course, the rape allegations didn't come until weeks later when the husband was apparently about to file for divorce. And she said, "Oh, I have to come clean. He actually raped me. I didn't know." And the next thing you know, he supports her in all this. But apparently there's some behind the scenes talk that the husband was even questioning, like, "Yeah, I don't really believe this, but I got to save some face somehow." So Pete Hegseth didn't rape this woman, wasn't married, so it was no infidelity on his part. She was a willing participant, and she apparently was attractive. He's attractive. Things happen. I'm not saying it would be okay to go, basically try to track down somebody's wife and hit on them behind the scenes, if you will. But this was a different scenario than that entirely.
Well, I mean, is this the same incident where the police were called and he was accused of sexual assault or sexual harassment and there was no evidence of it and they couldn't prove anything and it just was dismissed by the police? Are we talking about the same incident? It sounds like we are.
Yeah. No. This was one where he was in California. He was speaking at an event, and basically,
this was in California. That's the one I'm talking about.
But this was after the fact that they filed charges. He was already out of California at the time, so I don't know if he got arrested or anything.
Well, what I'm saying is, at the time, police were called about an incident, and there was nothing to it, and they just dismissed it. And then later on, the allegations came. As Jean Carroll, whatever her name is, whatever her charges came 25 years later, and she can't even recall where they happened. It's about as credible as the allegations against Brett Kavanaugh. That was what a cooked up bunch of nonsense that story was. It's and the same thing. The allegations against not Chief Justice, but Justice. What's his name there? Clarence Thomas. The
high tech lynching.
The high tech lynching. Yeah, exactly what it was.
Joe Biden was part of that.
Yeah, Joe Biden was a very big part of that. These people have no shame whatsoever. They will accuse people of anything to get what they want. And they're the ones actually guilty of the offenses they accuse others of far more often than we realize. Yeah, their behavior is unbelievable. But that's another story. We're about to run out of time here, folks. Got a couple minutes left in the hour. So, John, anything you want to discuss in the next hour? And I'm not going to ask you if you want to talk about New Hampshire.
Actually, I thought it was pretty interesting because as soon as Kelly was sworn in here, last Thursday, and so pops up on Facebook. First thing pops up, she signs executive order for COGE, Commission on Government Efficiency. Now, if you recall, we were talking about Kelly I never supported Trump, didn't like Trump, yada yada yada. All of a sudden, she's mimicking his, and I'm not against it. I give her kudos on the fact that she's a good idea and is willing to implement it. I just thought it was kind of interesting. She saw a good idea in Donald Trump.
These people have a name. They have been called something for well over a century and a half. They're known as carpetbaggers. They just swoop in and they change with the wind. They change with the tide. Look at Zuckerberg. Oh, Biden pressured me. Really? That's not what you said when you shut our channels down. That's not what you said when you destroyed our businesses. You're just a liar.
How much money has he donated to Joe Biden and the Democrat Party anyway?
Exactly. We'll be back in the next hour with more on the nominations and the end of Biden's pathetic reign. See you in the next hour, folks.
WSMN 1590. WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at wsmn.live.
ABC News, I'm Richard Cantu. 15 months after the Hamas sneak attack, Israel and the terror outfit reached tentative three-phase ceasefire hostage release deal. The first phase is to begin on Sunday. President-elect Trump had a hand in it.
Obesity would no longer be defined.
Remarkably, Biden White House sources acknowledged this deal was in part brokered by an envoy of the incoming administration, as well as the staff of the current one. President-elect Trump says the deal, quote, could have only happened as a result of his victory. He adds in a post, this is only the beginning of great things to come for America and indeed the world.
ABC Stephen Portnoy. This continues to happen. Alexander Justin White of Durham, North Carolina, a U.S. citizen, busted December 4th trying to hop a flight to Morocco with the intent of joining Islamic State. With Ukraine Zelensky at his side, Polish Prime Minister accused Russia of planning acts of sabotage worldwide. This is ABC News. A group of global experts is proposing a new way to define and diagnose obesity.
Obesity would no longer be defined solely by body mass index, a calculation of height and weight. It would be combined with measurements like waist size plus evidence of connected health problems. Reports in the Lancet Diabetes and Endocrinology Journal. It suggests two categories: people with clinical obesity, which includes things like heart disease, high blood pressure, liver or kidney disease, would be eligible for treatment. Preclinical obesity would indicate a risk for those types of problems.
ABC's Chuck Sievertson. From Maltby, England, the tale of 84-year-old retired construction foreman Ron Croker, who, armed with only a pair of trousers, was able to fend off a would-be mugger half his age inside a laundromat. Croker was having none of it, first shoving the 42-year-old out the door and then swinging the pants he was holding at the top. The man who eventually figured out his futility before leaving. Cops caught him later. Richard Cantu, ABC News.
Between all the holiday parties,
weekend tailgates,
and family get-togethers,
we've been overindulging a little more than usual over the holidays. But now, we are starting the new year off on a healthier note by taking Active Liver supplements from New Nordic every day.
Active Liver contains a powerful blend of turmeric, milk thistle, and globe artichoke extract, all natural ingredients that help protect the liver so that it can protect you from toxins. It's like giving my body a daily detox. I've never felt better, and my energy is through the roof.
And my doctor is already impressed with how much better my numbers are looking. So if better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief.
Active Liver is available in both tablets and as a delicious gummy. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com.
Attention campers, don't get stuck with markups. Other dealers increase freight and prep fees up to 300%. At Campers Inn RV, we never mark up fees. Our mission is to help you camp at a price you can afford, like a travel trailer with bunks, a full bath and a refrigerator for just $13,999. Shop smart and save big at Campers Inn RV. Visit campersinn.com or your nearest Campers Inn RV today. Campers Inn RV, where integrity drives every deal. Continuing the legacy.
And we're back, folks. Welcome back in the next hour here on the Common Sense Conservatives. John, I just was looking in the break there at photographs of Mayor Karen Bass at a cocktail party, living it up in Accra, Ghana, while the Palisades fire was burning out of control and people were dying. Talk about callous. I mean, that seems to be a good description for a former representative Karen Bass and mayor of Los Angeles. Any thoughts?
I do remember that. Yeah, she was in Ghana, and I remember she was coming back to the United States when this was first happening, and she was unprepared and had nothing to say to anybody who was interviewing or asking her questions about the matter. Wouldn't even say she's looking into it or nothing. Just flat out did not want to answer anything, and a callous approach to it all. She's really the poster child for somebody suffering from the Dunning-Kruger effect. You know, she's in over her head and she just doesn't know what she's doing.
Well, it's not that she's just in her head. It's these people think they're better than the rest of us, and they think that an election is a license to take our resources and lord over us with that, and then spread their garbage on us. in just their woke policies. And why not? It's what got them elected, because people, for whatever reason, feel guilty or stupid and vote for this nonsense. California, I don't mean the heartless, the people lost their homes, and I certainly am not wishing this ill on them, but California, you got what you voted for. You got what you deserve. And yes, I know that about half the population didn't vote for it, but the rest did. Hot mic somewhere.
Well, my somebody my wife, I think, was saying something about, they need to vote these people. I'm like, what do you think? Well, how's Newsom get voted back in? That's what I think she said. I'm like, what do you think? What do you think cheating election means? And I really kind of think it works on gubernatorial levels, and I think it works on senatorial levels too, when their elections are being compromised. And of course, you always do have that. It's difficult to go against the incumbent. It is very difficult.
Sure.
Well, the fact that the guy ever got elected in the first place just shows how stupid Californians are. We knew who he was as the mayor of San Francisco. This wasn't a surprise. This is unbelievable.
He had been groomed since a young age, actually, to basically be in politics, whether it was mayor or governor or something else, because his connection was with Nancy Pelosi and the Pelosi family and many other political families in California. So he's basically been groomed from a young age to be able to I don't know, catapult him to the position he's in right now. Probably in over his head for sure. He should be like maybe hanging out with the GQ models or something like that. He's got nice hair. I'll give him that. Other than that, the head's empty though.
Yeah, but I mean, as I said, we've known who the guy was for a long time. Never should have been governor. California has a very bad history of selecting the wrong people to be governor, and it goes back quite a ways. It's really a sad state of affairs. This is a state that really started going sideways in the 1970s. It really did. I think the excess of the 60s had an impact and a hangover effect on California, and it all went sideways.
Yeah.
It used to be a wonderful place at one time.
Oh, it did. I mean, I lived there as a child. I lived there again as an adult, and you could see the changes from the 1960s to the early part of this century. What a huge difference 40 years made in California. It used to be the place everybody wanted to go. Now it's a place people are embarrassed to mention.
You thought they were going to catch a break with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Finally, a conservative governor. Oh, never mind.
He's a rhino. He's not a conservative. That's the problem.
Yeah. He ousted Governor Brown, which is something actually Governor Reagan did whenever he got his father way back in the 60s and tried to turn the state around to a certain degree and get it in the right direction. And of course, that lasted for just a little bit. And of course, they went back the other way, sadly.
Even the Republican governors they've had have been useless. Pete Wilson was a disaster.
Pete Wilson's another one, yeah.
It's just look. California is so important and such a big cultural phenomena on the world stage, not just the American stage. So big that we know these places. I mean, if you've never been to California, you've probably heard of Oxnard or Santa Clarita or Malibu and San Diego. These places as if you've actually been to them, even though you've never been there, because it's had such an impact on the culture. Yet they've destroyed the Golden State. I mean, this is a state that had everything: gold, timber, oil, gas, human capital, agricultural wealth, everything under the sun. And now it's just a disaster.
So Danny's asking, what year was it? All of Congress was a Mason except one or two. I don't know what 1700s.
I
don't know.
Are we going to start some diatribe against the Masons again? Yeah,
I'm not sure on that one. I can tell you straight up, I've never had any issues with Masons. I'm sitting in the Masonic Club now.
Yeah. But think about this. All these conspiracies with the Masons. It's like all the things that they're supposedly that they're in on that they know. It would only be like just a very few of them that would be in on anything. And so it's a coincidence that any government official or whatever is a Mason. It's like, but there's so many, it's a religious organization. I know so many people who are Masons who are not very successful in business or politics or anything. They're just everyday people who go to work 9 to 5, to try to say that they're in on some sort of secret cabal. I'm like, you're stretching things a little bit here.
Well, I the Masons started as a guild. It was a guild of stonemasons.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, Master Masons.
It's not like the Teutonic Knights. It's not like the Knights of Malta. It's not like the Hospitaliers.
I've never been a Mason, so I can't attest to anything except for about witnessing what they do. They've only do good for society. That's all I've ever seen is they do for the greater good of society. Even the Shriners teamed up with the Masons with the children's hospitals. I mean, phenomenal work.
And here's the thing: they get this rap of being so secretive. They don't actively recruit, and that's one thing they want people who want to be a member. That's why they say you have to ask a Mason to be a Mason, and it's not a matter of blackballing or keeping people out. It's a matter of people who want to be there, people who are actually going to do things and be active and actually go through and take the thing serious.
So Dan, I think we were misunderstanding where Danny was going with. He said, "Yes, so many. What a group? Do they speak as a group?" So to your point, Todd, here in New Hampshire, I don't know about other places in the country, they were actively advertising that they were looking for people to join. They weren't recruiting, like aggressively recruiting, just let people. What we're having in our society now is things like the Elks and the Masons and these good organizations that do
absolutely. I agree.
Are having a hard time getting people involved, where people are kind of more isolated compared to what they used to be. They're not big in the community now.
I know several of the local Mason groups, what they'll do, they'll put out on social media like, hey, we're having an open house. You can just come by. That's not necessarily recruiting, but people can come in, hey, you have a fish fry or whatever, come in, have a meal, sit down and talk about the Masons, whatever. And it's to say that, there's this big cabal of people behind the scenes, whether it's, name an organization, and they're all involved in legal and conspiracy theories the world over. I think we're stretching things quite a bit. You know what I mean? We get too much credit.
I've never met a Mason that I thought was brainwashed. And that's what we're getting at here, right? They're not a cult.
But Sonny Jim, there is a secret cabal. Sonny Jim. It's known as the Pentaveret. They meet fortnightly in the meadows. The Gettys,
in the meadows.
The Rothschilds, and Colonel Sanders before he went teats up.
Right.
One of the best lines ever. That was from So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Yeah. There is a conspiracy. That's funny. Oh man.
And Mike Myers-Foddy did a little mini series called The Pentaveret last year or the year before. It was so funny. It was so funny. The Pentaveret. And he took this guy like this 1980s Canadian television journalist, and he just did it so funny. It was so perfect. But yeah, the Pentaveret. Now, listen, I mean, the Masons, I would never expect to be a Mason. I don't lay bricks. I mean, that doesn't interest me. So why would I want to do it? And the reason for forming it, and the reason that they were secretive, because there was a secret to successfully laying stone and brick back in the day, so it would stay together. And they kept their secrets amongst them. That was what it was all about.
Look at the things that they built back then that's still standing. Many things, some bridges and other things, are still being used for their original intended purposes. So to say that they, knew what they were doing, it was probably an understatement. Absolutely knew what they were doing.
Yeah, very skilled. Yeah,
absolutely.
So I think Danny, it was the Bohemian Grove. I thought
Bohemian Grove. Yeah. The cremation of care.
He brought up Illuminati and said they worship it now. So basically, people are afraid of these groups of people because you know how it is. People run in cliques. If I got a brotherhood or friends here, we'll work together. So it's not uncommon for somebody to say, hey, I know Jim over here. I'm going to take my business over and to Jim and let him do whatever it is that he does for me. And so, and pay him well for it. But I think the biggest thing we got to worry about regarding what he's getting at here is party systems. Even George Washington said, with the party, there will become a time when it's you who serves the party, not the party who serves you. And that's where we're at today. Because when you get into whether it's Republican Party, Libertarian Party, Democrat Party, these guys have their own cliques. And we talked about the Brookings Institute, the Heritage Foundation, all these organizations with groups of people that are think tank organizations who are trying to do the thinking for the greater whole of us. And that's ridiculousness.
Right. And I've had people, whenever I retired from the Army at 16, dared to run for public office in 2018. I've had people tell me, and I've heard it through the grapevine from other people, say, well, Todd's not paid his dues. He's not done this for the party. He's not been here doing this, raising money, all this stuff. So what George Washington was saying is absolutely true in many circles within political parties, Republican and Democrat.
Look, senators and Congress people, members of Congress,
Day one.
70% of their time trying to raise money for the party. 70% of their time when they should be working for the country. Maybe it's a good thing. They're keeping them so busy. They're not screwing up the country worse than they already have.
It's kind of like when Congress isn't in session, the country runs a lot better. Just
saying. Absolutely.
All these groups, the Illuminati, the Pentaveret, which doesn't exist.
Does now.
Those Crusader orders still exist. I don't know if you know that. The Knights of Malta still exists. It's a German order which does charitable work, but it was a Crusader group. The
hospitaliers.
hospitaliers, they still exist. The Teutonic Knights, I believe, still exist. I don't think the Livonian Order exists, but they still exist in different form. And those particular orders were all religious, faith-based, to recover the Holy Lands, and that's what that was all about, and then govern the Holy Lands for a century. But a lot of these groups, the Elks, the Eagles, the Kiwanis, all these different things, they've all got their own rules and initiation and rites and things. And I have to be honest, some of this stuff is a little odd, but I mean, even things like the Boy Scouts, if you think about it, have their own indoctrination and sorts of things. So, I mean, look, it's just the nature of humans to come up with little secret organizations where we can be pals, sort of thing. I don't know why that's the nature of human beings. I mean, people like to be special and elite. I think that's what it comes down to.
Sure.
As long as that is not used for nefarious purposes, so what? So what?
you, while in the treehouse and being a member of the club, you will do it accordingly.
Right, but the thing
it
about
goes it goes to childhood, right? We all did this as
of course.
children, and we had our clubs. And
but to think about this, to think that people who are in government or whatever, business, local business leaders, government leaders, whatever, to think that they didn't talk at these groups, I think we would be short-sighted to say that they didn't talk. Of course, they talked. They probably made deals, all sorts of things for sure. But that doesn't mean the group in and of itself is the bad thing or the bad operator here. It's the individuals who do bad things behind these groups. Yeah, that's the problem, I think.
So Skull and Bones come up, and from my understanding, Skull and Bones is just a secret society where they support one another in business and make sure that each one's successful. And that was the basic premise behind it. It wasn't meant to be nefarious as far as controlling government or manipulating things.
Yeah, like you said, but a lot of these people who were in Skull and Bones were very successful in many areas. Of course, they've had a lot of members who were just everyday people who just kind of floundered in life, that weren't quite so successful. But I think it's one of those things where you have a lot of people in government or business that you see a trend of, whether it's a Mason or whether it's Skull and Bones or whatever, you say, oh, they're in on something. They're usually from wealthy families that have means anyway that can assist you in getting you off the ground, sending you to a nice elite university. That's one thing. Yeah. Also, at the same time, getting you set up in business. A father who has a practice in a law firm or whatever, getting you set up. I think that's one thing that happens for sure in these organizations. But to say it's some sort of big secret cabal behind the scenes that we can never, look behind the curtain and see the wizard pulling the levers. I think is disingenuous, because there's no one person or no small little group pulling the levers. It's individuals that are probably I want to say selfish, if you will, in a lot of ways, that want to basically try to skirt the system to become successful. That use their positions to better themselves. So I think that's a major problem that you see.
Affluence leads to influence. Yeah.
There we go. There we go. That's better.
So I think, you talk about secret societies. I think the thing I'd be most concerned about is when I see governments having these summits, and they'll do this little thing for the media up front, and they're like, "Hey, everybody, here we are," and they look like so buddy and chummy, and now we're going to go indoors and close the doors, and the media.
Well, I've been a party to a lot of those. I'll just let you know, like bringing the press in for the photo spray or quick Q&A up front or after the fact. And I've run the press out on many occasions during those types of meetings. But you got to think, whenever, let's say, a president sits down with a prime minister or whatever the case may be, another head of state, you want to be able to have those discussions kind of off the record. And you talk about any number of things they talk about. That stuff doesn't need to be reported in the press. The finished product, what was the deal that they came up with? What was the treaty that they negotiated? That's what the public really needs to focus on, not how the sausage was made behind the scenes.
Yeah, but when they have these Senate committees, like these confirmation committees, those are public.
Oh, you're talking about those? Yeah, no, for sure they are.
But no, I was talking about these international things originally.
Okay,
but it just seems to me that you can't have open dialogue in front of the world if you're going to talk about the doings of the world. I mean, but you're right. Going back to the People's Convoy, they did meet with Ted Cruz, and they wanted originally the senators they met with didn't expect to have media there. And when they had media there and cameras there, it changed the dynamics of conversation. They had to be very, very cautious about what they say, because what they say can be used against them in the public view. And they didn't want to step the wrong way incidentally.
Yeah, and they don't want to get put on the basically on the X, if you will, where they have to commit one way or the other. They want to be basically as ambiguous as possible. Oh, I see you have some merit here to your argument, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Get it to me later on and I'll look at it, basically they keep up relations from one side or the other, but they don't want to be put on the spot. You're right.
Yeah. Well, nobody does. I mean, like, look we do this right here, and sometimes you might say the wrong thing or it comes out the wrong way, and it's kind of embarrassing in front of a whole lot of people. But
Right.
we take our risk.
Well, today at our
But
school
it's
board
not.
meeting, go ahead.
It's not just embarrassed, but I mean, this is an argument I have to make people all the time. Why states are entitled to secrets, why spouses are entitled to secrets. If you were able to access every thought of your spouse, you wouldn't be married very long. Trust me.
Probably not. Right.
So when it comes to states, the end product that we're seeing now from the release of these hostages in the Hamas deal is not where they started. And had their initial opening positions been known, then they wouldn't have had wiggle room and space to negotiate and to push against the pressure points and take advantage of a strength you have in a negotiation, vice a weakness your opponent has, to achieve a goal that you want. And that's why secrets are necessary and why you must have, like you talked about with the People's Convoy. They thought they're going to have a private meeting and actually be able to frankly discuss things. But you can't frankly discuss and put all your cards on the table because the media will savage that. It's not the final position. It's an opening position. And that's why you have to have secret. But you guys, we're talking about the clubs. And before I want to get too far away from it, I want to go back to one that no longer exists. This is a club founded in 1904 that folded up its tent in 2024 when its building was confiscated and auctioned off for $17.5 million. And they're very famous for doing roast, the Dean Martin roast and all those other
Oh, right. Yeah.
The Friars Club.
Friars Club. Yeah. Holy cow. Yeah. They did fold. That's sad.
Yeah, pre omnia fraternitas, and that of course means brotherhood above all. It was a fraternal order of show business people, and it was one of these secret orders. You didn't just get to go to it; they had to ask you to come to it. But they're very famous, and we all know about them because they did these roasts back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
But they set up their own club because they were seen as outcasts back in those days, so they weren't allowed to come to the other nice gentleman club. So they set up their own thing. Why not?
Yep. Do you know who they roasted in 2004? Take a guess.
Trump?
Yeah, it was Trump.
Yeah.
And
Trump,
Regis Philbin was the roast master.
I love it, Reg. Reg.
Yeah. He actually got roasted before Jerry
guy.
Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Regis
was
Philbin
fantastic.
Was funny. He was, yeah.
He was fantastic. Yeah. The last one they ever did was Terry Bradshaw.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Terry's funny as heck, too.
And they did Betty White in 2012.
Oh, there you go. Got her while she was still young.
Yeah. She was a kick.
Betty White was awesome. I mean, she was in television for like 70 some years. She was incredible.
She was a hottie back in the day too.
Well, I don't recall the 1940s there.
Come on. He's going by the old movies. Come on. He likes the black and whites from time to time.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, but no, Betty White was definitely a groundbreaker in so many respects. I mean, I didn't know who Betty White was until the Mary Tyler Moore Show. That's when I first saw her, and she was already in her 50s at that time, and she was quite a talent. I love that show. That was Mary Tyler Moore, who can turn the world on with a smile. What a great show! But they're all gone now. I don't think is there anybody left from Mary Tyler Moore Show. Gab McLeod's gone.
I don't think so.
Ted Knight was the first to go. I think Luke Ed Asner finally went recently, so I think they're all gone now. Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh no, Georgette. Did Georgette die? Maybe she's still around. No. Anyway, John Shuck, he was on there for a little bit. Boy, that was one of the most painful things I ever watched. John Shuck on that show when he played a sportscaster. It was terrible. The Reds defeated the Cleveland Indians 6-5 today. In baseball news, it was horrible.
Yeah. The monotone.
Yeah, he was terrible. John Shuck. I remember him from McMillan and Wife and many other things. Many
McMillan and Wife. I love it.
Yeah, Susan St. James. Yeah.
You got a lot of the classics under your belt there. I love it.
Oh, I do. I mean, I was a huge Columbo. I like this Sunday night. It was one of the few times I got to watch TV was those Sunday night things, and I liked the Columbo shows. I have all the Columbo things on DVD. So anyway,
all the movies that they had, like made for TV movies later on. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, it started with that Sunday Night Mystery, on NBC,
yeah.
And then they just kept the Columbo thing going all the years, and then it went away for a while, and he brought it back and reprised it. So it was what a great show. What I liked about Columbo is they showed you who the crook was, who the criminal was.
it was you got to figure out how he's going to solve the crime, though. That was the kick right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
what a great concept.
Just one more thing. Yeah, he always did the one more thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Danny's asking a trivia question here. One of our Supreme Court justices dies at one of those secret meetings. Who was that?
Was that in the Pelican brief?
I love it.
John Grisham.
Yeah, The Firm, The Pelican Brief, all great, good movies. Yeah.
I think The Pelican Brief was probably his best one. That was so well done.
That was a really good movie. Yeah, I agree with you. And yeah, well written. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of there's a lot of actors who became very big after that. Not just Julia Roberts, who was already known, but a lot of their actors became quite big after that. People didn't even know who they were. What's his name? That one guy. I can't think of his name right now. But anyway, great movie. Grisham wrote some really good stuff. I didn't like all of his things, but The Client was great. But I think his best one was The Pelican Brief. I mean, I was just riveted watching the whole movie. I could watch it over and over again. It's really good stuff.
Yeah, The Client. Yeah.
So the clock is ticking, folks. The countdown is on. 4 days, 16 hours, and that thing stopped. It stopped. It's not refreshed. It's just 16 hours.
Hang on a second. I'll refresh it for you.
50. That'd be 15 hours.
I got to pull it up front for it.
There it is. 15 hours, 34 minutes, and 17 seconds. There. I was going to say that isn't right. 16 hours. I mean, did I just go into a Sherman and Mr. Peabody in the Wayback Machine? Boy, it's cultural reference night tonight, isn't it?
So, Danny, thanks to Google, that would be Antoine's. How he pronounce his last name? Scalia.
Scalia.
Scalia. There you go.
Scalia.
I look at it and I never pronounce it right. But apparently he was involved in I would never got that answer unless I looked it up. But
where did Scalia die at?
Well, let's see. He was in West Texas.
I didn't know what
West Texas Ranch. I don't know. I was just looking at it.
It's news to me. I mean, I didn't hear anything about this.
Among high-ranking members. Hang on a second.
Scalia was brilliant. He should have been Chief Justice, not John Roberts.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
He was.
Yep. So Biden is giving his farewell address right now, isn't he? I mean, this very minute, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. Yeah. I think we have a larger audience than he does right now.
I was going to say that's why we have such a big audience. They're like, I'm not listening to this crap.
Something else to watch. We'll watch these common sense guys. Ramble.
Yeah, who are they? We'll check them out. As soon as I find an article that'll tell me.
Looks like he hasn't started yet. He's late.
Oh, the meds haven't kicked in. The meds haven't kicked in. They got to make sure that he can talk coherently for at least 5 minutes. I'm Joe Biden. I was president. Bye.
It's 8:27. I thought he was speaking 8 o'clock, and he's not there. They've got the White House on the north side of the lawn and some sort of stage erected out there. What's that all about? When did that get built?
That's the viewing platform for the inauguration. That's where the President Trump and the Vice President and everybody in his official party.
Oh, okay, right okay. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. My bad. My bad. Yeah. For some reason, I was thinking it was at the Capitol building.
Yeah. That's where the viewing stand will be for the parade that marches right by.
Yeah, that's. Yep. Is it over? Did he already speak? Let me see.
Huh.
I'm going back. They got an hour and 5 minutes, and he wasn't speaking an hour. Did Biden not show up?
Did he not wake up from his chocolate chip?
Okay. He did show up eventually. Wow. Okay. Yeah, he spoke. All right. Okay. I was like, did he not show up? Well, wouldn't that be somebody who doesn't show up to his final speech? Well, I'm sure he just claimed great success. I mean, it's just the cognitive dissonance of people just astonishes me. This administration has been marked by failure, destruction, corruption, abuse, bigotry, racism, hatred, all the things they claim the opponents are guilty of. Yeah, somebody said they're building a new gallows.
I love it.
I don't know about that, but I heard there's a shortage of tar and feathers.
Right. Shortage of guillotines and for sure.
Oh my goodness, Joe Biden, what a disaster! I thought things couldn't be worse after Obama, but I was so wrong, so wrong.
Yeah, but you got to think about this, and I can't say that it started with Obama, but the lurch to the far left really started under him for sure, and especially in the second term.
Yeah, but we've been in trouble since George Herbert Walker Bush left office. Yeah, we really have.
No, I agree. Clinton eased this over there, made it okay to lie to the American public. On the record in front of everybody, whatever. That didn't matter. And
the naive foreign policy. It's just unbelievable.
Yep.
Oh boy. Anyway, all right. So, what do you guys think? I mean, do you think that? How do you think the first week's going to go, Todd? I mean, we've got Monday. It starts. What do you think by Friday? What things will look like? What will we see roll back? Will Trump follow through on his revocation of transgenders in the military? And I mean, what's going to happen?
Well, let's hope so. Hopefully, everything that he said he would do with regards to executive orders, he'll sign those, and then, of course, sweep away Joe Biden's executive orders. Hopefully, that'll be done by Friday. Everybody will be confirmed as far as his cabinet sworn into office. I don't know about sub cabinet and everybody else, but hopefully the staff will be up and running, moving in the right direction, and all the things that he's promised. Hopefully, he'll have basically everybody where he needs in place. And we can get the ball rolling on those first 100 days. And at the end of the 100 days, and of course by the summer, I think that's going to be our check mark time. It's like, okay, where are they at on this? Where are they at on this? And I think toward the end of the year, if he hasn't basically gotten things to a point that's satisfactory, like he promised, I'm not saying he's going to solve all the problems, but things moving in the right direction, like finishing the wall. If he hasn't done that, I think we could pretty much write off the next 3 years. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but if he doesn't get it done within the first year with the Republican House and Senate, it's not going to get done.
Well, let's try a prediction. What do you think the first thing that Trump won't do? Because he won't be able to deliver on everything. Come on, he's just a person.
No,
we can't get carried away. What do you think the first thing that Trump doesn't deliver on in what might be considered a timely fashion that's going to get conservatives up in arms? I mean, there'll be something. Will it be the wall? Will it be the pardons? Will it be tax cuts? I mean, there's got to be something that is going to be difficult for him to achieve. That's going to have us all kind of like, wait a second, that's not what we voted for.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to scrutinize those pardons. Some people committed crimes, and a lot of people didn't, and so it's going to take time, I think, to go through all the pardons because there's a lot of people have been charged and imprisoned.
It's coming, and watching.
I think that's going to be a problem for a lot of people. A lot of people are very impatient about it. They can't wait for Trump to get in. They want a blanket pardon. They want them all out of there. So it's going to be. You're going to see some stresses in that.
Yeah, watching bits and pieces of the Pam Bondi, fiasco there. The stuff that they ask are basically talking about pardons. That's one of the questions that they did ask. And, she said, she would advise on it, but it's the president's discretion to pardon whoever, and that's basically, that's the truth. Hopefully they'll scrutinize, who's going to be pardoned. If they did something that's violent, don't pardon them or commute that sentence if they've already served, past what a normal person would have actually served. But other than that, I don't see that there's going to be a problem with the pardons. It's just if he doesn't pardon them, I think that's going to be the big problem.
She said she was going to, if she's looking at it, she's looking at it per incident basis. She's not going to just, she wouldn't blanket pardon unless the president took it upon himself. So she intends to look at it per incident basis. She's not going to just look for.
But Adam Schiff doesn't seem to realize the fact that the attorney general has no say in his pardon. It's absolute power, and that's done.
They have the they have the pardon office, right? The
sure
to give stuff like that.
That's how you go through the process, especially if you're just an everyday person. And of course, they give a recommendation, but they don't say yes or no. That's the president.
No, they don't get the He at the end of the day, he's one signing off on it. So
and the president
and the president absolute.
Yeah, and he doesn't even have to, defer to them. He could just say, I'm just going to pardon these people here. Whether they submitted for a pardon or not is besides the point. Bill Clinton pardoning his half-brother as an example.
What's interesting about the Schiff thing is he didn't have any qualms about Joe Biden pardoning his son. He didn't have any qualms about the pardons Joe Biden pardoned.
Right, yeah,
right?
Who was a known felon. And there's plenty of pictures, plenty of video, plenty of statements, plenty out there to be able to say, yes, he is. But no, he's poor Hunter. He just has a little bit of problem. Yeah, it's called daddy.
So here's the thing about Hunter Biden. The state officials should prosecute him.
Yeah,
these are pardons for federal crimes.
Mm-hmm.
He committed state offenses. Drug use is illegal in every state. This is in Amsterdam. And prostitution is illegal in every state except parts of Nevada. And gun charges, felons aren't allowed to carry a gun in any state that I'm aware of in any part of the union. So every one of those is a state violation. And the cowards in the states where he was at, where he committed these crimes, should be prosecuting him. So he's not out of the clear. And they better hope that he didn't commit crimes in a Republican-dominated legislature state because
it's also subject to statute of limitations.
Yeah.
Yes, all the crimes you just mentioned, I believe, are subject to the statute of limitations. That's correct.
But going back to the question that you asked, what's going to get Republicans or conservatives up in arms? I think it's the ones who think that president should go after his political enemies, which I think
you're right.
some of them should be investigated for sure. I agree with that, but it shouldn't be the president directing the attorney general or the FBI to do the investigation. But I think,
go
ahead.
Will the president intercede and get the Securities Exchange Commission to stop their bogus lawsuit against Elon Musk for buying Twitter stock and not disclosing it? I wonder. That could be interesting. That's another thing. The Biden administration said they're looking for a smooth transition, and they're targeting Trump acolytes. That's what they're doing. It's unbelievable. It's look, it's just who they are. But hey, look, Trump is talking about cleaning the swamp out last time, and he didn't do a very good job. But this time, today, it was announced that the Trump team has asked 3 career, not political appointees, 3 career State Department senior officials to resign and leave the State Department. That is earth-shattering. Asking government employees to resign. That's not unprecedented, but wow, we'll see what happens. And I've got their names. These folks are all very powerful, influential members of the State Department. And it came out today. Aides to President Trump asked 3 senior career diplomats who oversee the State Department's workforce and internal coordination to step down. This could be a very clear sign that he's going after the deep state. I mean, this is you've got Bernicat, the Director General of the Foreign Service and the Director of Global Talent, leading recruitment, assignment, career development at the department's workforce. Assistant Secretary Teplitz has been with the department for 3 decades, serving overseas as well as Washington, and been implementing duties as Undersecretary for Management. So we're talking about people. These are folks who have been involved in the hiring decisions and where people go inside the State Department, and that's a major problem. And it looks like the Trump team is looking to cut the evil at its root.
Well, Biden kind of signaled, right? I mean, pretty much told him what he needs to do when he started trying to place people in, deep state. He put them into regulatory agencies and departments and stuff, and non-fireable people, so to speak, and hoping to undermine Trump during his processes.
And that's exactly what I've said is the actual deep state. It's not some sort of secret shadow government. It's people being planted in there that can slow roll an opposing president's agenda, basically.
Well, if these polls can be believed, 70% of government bureaucrats who were polled recently said they would oppose the Trump administration. 70%? And that figure shouldn't be 7%. That's insane. This is a problem. And this, I think, will be a big fight. But I think you're correct. I think the big fight conservatives are going to be angry about is Trump said, not Trump said, but they expect Trump to go after his enemies. Trump has never indicated he's going to do that. And the last term, he was very generous. Look, he let Hillary Clinton off the hook. Now the statute of limitations is gone. It's a shame. She should have been wearing jumpsuits. Orange is the new black, as we know. That's where she should have been. But and look how he was repaid for his generosity and his magnanimity. I don't think he should have any magnanimity this time. I think he should go after him and do it with a vengeance.
Absolutely.
Do it with a vengeance. Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, and every member of the fake January 6th panel who destroyed federal records in violation of federal law yet to be charged. All the evidence is gone. It wasn't even evidence. It's all fake. That's why it's gone.
Right, but it's funny is that Schiff was basically accusing Pam Bondi and Trump, who's not even in office yet. Will you preserve January 6th data and information? And it's like, sure, but you guys have destroyed so much of it.
Is that what she said? Because my response would have been, my response would have been, I'd be happy to if only there was some. Your team destroyed it all. Your team broke federal law. I'll be happy to investigate and issue a subpoena and get an indictment against him. Is that what you want? Would you like me in a panel, a grand jury?
So I think what she was referring to is they destroyed all the fake evidence that they created against Trump because they didn't want to get caught with it.
Well,
they destroyed virtually everything.
Anything that cleared Trump, they basically destroyed. Anything such as hearsay and people's individual testimony against Trump, they kept that for sure. But hearsay is not admissible in real court. Anyway.
Guys, look, I mean, they destroyed most of it. Terabytes of data is missing. They can't account for any of it. And look, that stuff was never even entered. They refused to enter that information. They wouldn't bring that information in. The kangaroo court that convened for this, these people must be held to account. And we must hold people like Juan Merchan to account and Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis for their crimes. They must all, not to mention Letitia James, they must all be brought to account. And meanwhile, we need federal investigations into sedition insurrection, conspiracy, and treason against the United States, Kathy Hochul, Eric Swalwell, all these people with Chinese spies around them, they need to be investigated. And It needs to be done openly. Everybody needs to know that they're under suspicion. Yeah,
I'm for that, man. Let's bring them down. I say it. Let's bring them down. I'm getting tired of these people getting protected just because they're privileged to be employed by the United States government. They're elected. Screw that. No, they need to fall just like any other human being.
Yeah, and then they parlay that into six-figure private sector jobs, and then of course they, are protected, and of course they write their books, no problem.
Seven figures for some of them.
Yeah,
John, what do you think is going to be the issue? Todd said he thinks it's going to be a couple things, and one of them being the prosecutions that a lot of people presume are going to happen don't happen. What do you think is going to be the first breach, the first issue that conservatives are going to have with the new Trump administration? What is he going to come up short on?
Comes up short on wow, I really wasn't thinking about it. I'm thinking of all the good things, Chris.
Well, I mean, look, there's no way the guy can deliver everything. He's promised something to everybody.
Okay, so here's one thing he's going to have an issue with. He wants Greenland. Okay.
He wants what? Greenland?
Greenland.
Okay.
And the thing about Greenland is, from my understanding, a sovereign nation can't just become a state of the United States, but a territory can. So there's steps he's got to go through before Greenland can become a state. But, it would be satisfactory if they decided to be a territory. What's wrong with that?
But they're in that Peaks Hegseth confirmation here. They're talking about, are you going to support him if he forces you to invade Greenland? And I'm thinking to myself, and of course, Pete rightly said, I'm not going to comment on any potential operation that may happen. But he said that, that's not even being discussed. He's just, but basically, Trump's offered to buy Greenland, not invade it and take over.
I don't understand why. Denmark's already said we don't own it. They're a sovereign nation. They can make their own choices.
No. That Denmark is parsing. It is an autonomous territory under the domain of Denmark. They fall under the fealty of the Danish king. They fall under the Constitution of Denmark. Denmark handles their foreign policy and their national defense.
So when I look it up, Greenland might be worth anything from $46 billion to $1.7 trillion for us to purchase it. All I'm saying is get it for free if you can get it for free. Make a deal. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Make an offer they can't refuse.
But
without throwing trillions of dollars into it, that's ridiculous.
But what the colonel just said is basically we're going to have to invade Denmark now too. Thank you. We're going to have to do that. Oh my God.
They can't. They're not like there's no reason to invade Denmark whatsoever.
I know.
My argument, my analysis, which is it looks like it will probably become true based on what now everyone's claiming and people in Greenland are claiming, is that Donald Trump calling attention to Greenland once again is likely to embolden the independence movement in Greenland. What does that sound? Are you moving paper, Todd?
Todd is shuffling.
He never shuts his mouth. You need to get one of these microphones so you can turn your microphone off when you're fiddling papers.
He can. He's got a mute button.
All right, he's getting a laptop. Okay, now he's quiet. Yeah, now he's just mouthing.
Yeah, it is going to be awesome when you get a laptop. I assume you got a microphone to go with it.
Well, I do have a laptop. It's old and it's going out as of the next couple of days. So.
Yeah, but Todd is too cheap to buy an external microphone for his laptop, so we'll see how that goes.
I have one. I've got a nice one.
Okay.
I remember you had
don't
one.
Worry.
All right.
Yeah,
but you were saying about Greenland, about inspiring independence.
So what I predicted when Trump brought this issue up again, I've produced a couple of videos on this, is that this will spur the independence movement, which has been kind of languishing of late, to push for independence. Now, Greenland sought home rule. They got it in 1979. They sought autonomy. They got that in 2006, I think it was. And now the move for independence. I think this will finally lead to them breaking away. The stumbling block has been the $600 million a year that Denmark blesses Greenland with. Where's that money going to come from? Well, if the Trumpster walks in with $500 million, in deals for Greenland, then maybe they'll go for independence. They already want the independence. That would give them the comfort that they wouldn't have to worry about. So maybe if Denmark and the United States split the $600 million per year, and the U.S. gets all kinds of additional basing rights and exclusive, look, the bottom line is that here's the thing. We're hearing whining from the left going, well, this is unnecessary. He's creating a problem. No, Donald Trump is foreseeing problems down the road. He sees a problem with China, with Russia in the future. And in order to prevent that from becoming a problem, like Democrats always do, they wait till it's a disaster. Then they're like those useless officers and NCOs that we knew in the Army, Todd, who don't lead. Everything falls apart, and they're great in a crisis because they act well in a crisis. But they precipitated the crisis, And that's what happens with Democrats. They precipitate the disaster, and then they come in and act like they're saviors. But they're usually saviors with our money. Oh, here's $1 billion, here's $1 billion, here's $100 trillion. They give our money away. So Trump is actually doing what leaders do. He's looking ahead. He's looking down the road. He's anticipating trouble. He's anticipating problems, and he's trying to prevent them. So good on him. I think it's brilliant.
Greenland's been in the scope of things. I mean, we've been looking at it since the 1800s. We've looked at it so many times through the 1900s.
1857.
We've wanted it so long. But the thing about it right now is they got minerals. Apparently, there's value there. But I don't think they have the means to access them. But if they become a territory of the United States, then we can have corporations that can help them with that. And they can get funds off from that, so it can enrich their lives. It can enrich their live their lives.
Let me tell you one thing that's going to happen right away. The moment Greenland becomes U.S. territory, the floodgates open. They'll be building Hiltons and Sheratons.
Exactly.
And Americans will flock to Greenland for the outdoor adventure. It will be up like 300 million Americans. There's going to be probably 3 to 5 million Americans who want to go there every year. They can't sustain that, but people are going to want to go there. They're going to want to go there to see the American Arctic. People go to Alaska to see the fjord. Imagine fjord cruises in Greenland. It'll be incredible. And Denmark only has a handful of people, 4, 5, 6 million people. So, I mean, they can't do that. So Denmark giving up Greenland would be a major boon for them. They'll more than make the money up from tourism and from other opportunities. So, look, people say it's far-fetched. I don't think it's so far-fetched. I think, and my prediction is going to come true, Greenland will gain its independence not too far down the road. The question becomes, how do they fill the sinkhole of $600 million a year? And maybe the answer is that Denmark phases it out. Year 1, they get 550. Year 2, 500 million. Year 3, 450 million. Yeah, they phase it down, and eventually Denmark doesn't pay anything, after 12 years or something like that. But that's the only problem for them, the only real problem, the only genuine issue they've got going. Otherwise, it's not an issue. But I don't know that Greenland not coming through is going to be what makes people upset. I'm still sticking with the one that Todd said. I do think that that the perception that Trump is going to go after enemies won't come to fruition in the way that a lot of conservatives expect it to. Yeah. And that's where they're going to have issues. So we'll see. Okay. So John, first week, what's the biggest thing you think Trump will do?
Oh, it's going to be executive orders. Day one. It's going to be
no. You don't get away with saying executive orders. What executive?
I went for the obvious. What executive order? Let's see. He's got a lot to reverse. So you got the pipelines. You've got the what was it? Gulf of America.
Right.
You
got the wall.
The wall. There's going to be a lot of things he's going to have to reverse that. I mean, look, border policies. Border policies are going to be week number one.
John, Todd and I are the ones that ran for political office. You're not a politician. Just give us an answer. Which one?
We're not politicians.
You said which one? I'm pointing out several of them. I mean, what do you want?
Look, we all know about several of them. Come on. I'm going to put you out here. You're going to make a prediction. Which one?
You're going to get the one for regulations. It's going to be drop 2 regulations to put one in place.
Is that even in play this time? He did it last time.
I think Biden rescinded that, so I'd imagine he's going to drop that one back in. So,
all right, okay, all right, that's your big one. All right, Todd, first week, biggest policy decision by Donald Trump.
Oh well, you got the executive decisions, obviously.
Oh gosh.
Now, I think it's going to be a series of quick decisions. I wouldn't say it would be just one, but it'll be several announcements. It'll be key staffing positions. It'll also be, implementing, or putting into action, like you said, his executive decision, pushing legislation, probably have legislation ready to go to get the heel on the first week. Whether or not Congress takes it up or not right away, we'll see. But I think there's going to be a lot of things to reverse the bad stuff that the Biden has done over the past 4 years, and the Democrats is going to probably go to the Capitol Hill. We'll see what all that is. I don't know to say specifically, but he's probably going to try to tackle several things at one time.
All right, I'll man up. You guys can't put your big boy pants on. I'm going to man up. I guess as an intelligence analyst, I'm accustomed to making predictions, and usually right, but not always. I'm going to make a prediction here. It's going to be one of two things, and I'll tell you which one I think is going to take precedence. Both of them are going to be huge because the leftist media is going to lose their minds. It will dominate the first week, and we will miss many of the things that Trump does because they won't be reported on, or they'll be, just dismiss. They will go bat crap crazy over two things. Number one, barring transgenderism in the military. They will lose their minds over that. If he does that in the first week, which I expect he will on day one. And number two, this is the one that's really going to make him lose their mind. Any pardons for anybody convicted or accused in January 6 crimes. They will lose their minds. Every headline will be insurrection is freed. The country is falling apart. The dictator in chief, El Duce Mussolini, is back in charge. Those two things will have the biggest impact in the first week. My expectation, unless, we go to war because, I don't know, Hamas invades or something, but that's, I'm going to say it's going to be the January 6th pardon is going to be the most controversial and the one that has the biggest impact because the media is going to be involved. They're going to lose their minds.
I don't think you asked us the same question you gave yourself.
Really? I did.
Yeah, no. You asked us what's going to be the most difficult thing for Trump to accomplish. On the other hand, you said, what is the left going to get upset about?
Everything.
No. That was a question earlier. I asked the question earlier. Which one? This was a question: is what's the biggest thing that he's going to do? What's the most? That first week. What's the biggest thing? That was the second question. But John, you fell asleep. I asked that question 20 minutes ago.
I think Todd was agreeing with me.
Had you asked the original,
I think both of you need some Prevagen.
I think there's been an alteration in this questioning here. I feel set up. I'm just saying.
Oh, it's all good,
Mr. Chairman.
John, I'm right now online ordering Prevagen for you. Okay.
What's that address?
I'm not sure what that is, but okay.
Well, I think that's enough said. You don't even know what it is. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't.
It's a memory enhancer.
Well, Joe Biden's probably pumped full a lot of it right now.
Oh,
he's pumped full of something, all right.
Yeah,
some days I feel like I could use a memory enhancer.
Yeah, I know the feeling, but anyway, no. But what's just going to be the most impactful, biggest thing in the first week? And I think you started going on about executive orders, and I'm like, yeah, okay, pick one. And so for me, I think the most impactful one that's going to get the most attention is going to be January 6 pardons. It'll overshadow anything else Trump does the first week.
I'd agree with that. That's going to be the left. Look, the left that we did. You said that earlier. The left is already arming themselves. They're already planning attacks. They're already got their strategies in place. Do some gruesome Newsoms over there. Throwing money at it. He's building up all his barriers.
Right. But you think about this, what he should do is, on Fridays is usually the big news dump. They dump all the stories out there. And by the next Monday, you're on to a new news cycle. Maybe he'll do all the pardons on the Friday. By Monday, it'll be in the news cycle, but there'll be so many more things to talk about that who knows how impactful it'll be. It'll be a big story on the Sunday shows, but other than that, who knows if it'll carry on to the next week. So maybe he'll pardon everybody on Friday.
So I think we're gonna have to deal with the made up knee jerk reactions too. To put the words in Trump's mouth that the left loves to do.
Oh yeah.
Well, Todd, to your point, if he does it on Friday, it's still in the first week.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the left blowback, it will be less, I think.
You guys know Derek Johnson?
Not offhand. There's a singer named Derek Johnson, but I don't know him.
Is he in relation to the? Oh yeah, there is. We don't know, Danny. You're gonna have to explain that one to us. So just type it there in the comments. He claims we are in the military operation from Trump's first emergency executive orders. It sounds like this is going to be a deep dive.
Yeah, it's a bit late in the program for that conversation. Unfortunately, we're running out of time this week. But what I will say, ladies and gentlemen, is the next time we meet for our next session of the Common Sense Conservatives, we will be under the 47th president of the United States, Donald John Trump, who, by the way, happened to be the 45th too.
Absolutely. So history will be made. I mean, it'll be the second person in our nation's history to serve 2 non-consecutive terms. Interesting.
I look at the countdown clock, and I think we got to cue that song, The Final Countdown.
Yeah, I was going to use that cultural reference. We came back from the break. It's The Final Countdown from Europe. Another one-hit wonder. Europe,
Classic, though.
I've been doing the TikToks with this countdown clock every day, so I got 2 days in.
Well, we're not that far away, folks. It's just.
Were you doing the TikTok dances, John? Were you dancing with it?
No, I don't do the fad dances or whatever they're called, dance fads or
whatever.
No, it's kind of too. Can I say this on the air? Is that too gay for me?
Oh, watch out! Yeah, you're too happy for you. You're right. I don't. It's not
well,
a bad
no, I mean,
it's not a bad word.
I had to explain this to somebody one time, though. For straight people, the word "gay" just means lame. It doesn't necessarily mean a derogatory reference. words.
No. Words can mean so many different things. It's context of how you use it.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. It's context.
Well, it's odd how people change the meaning of words. I mean, when we were kids, saying the word queer was an insult. Now it's a term of pride and endearment by a community. So you gotta, so the whole community identifies itself as such. So it's odd how people change the meaning of words over time.
It's usually the tonage, how derogatory it is, right? What kind of tone you put behind it.
So no matter what tone I use, simply saying Joe Biden tends to be a derogatory statement for me.
Yeah. Well, there are some words that just, it's like the F-bomb, right? I mean, there's only, you can emphasize it with tone, but it's still.
It only has one meaning.
Yeah.
Failure.
Failure. Yeah, failure was the only option with the Biden administration, and we got it for sure.
But Trump has got headwinds, guys. Before we wrap up, he's really got headwinds. Inflation spiked again in December. Interest rates are spiking again, which means home sales are going down. So Trump is taking presidency at a time the housing market is dropping, maybe even crashing potentially. Interest rates are higher. Inflation is higher. It's not pretty time. The deficit is out of control. Trump is taking control at a very perilous time, and he's going to have to make a lot of right steps in order to save the country. I mean, I think he's the right guy for the job, and I hope he does well. And I think he's picked a really good team for the most part around him. But we shall see. I mean, will the obstructionists in the Democratic Party continue their obstruction? I think they will. I mean, we saw people actually vote against the Laken Riley legislation. Can you believe that? We have people coming out and complaining that the civil rights of criminal alien invaders will be violated if they're deported when they're caught stealing. They're in the country illegally. What are you talking about? Their rights being violated? They have no rights. They're criminals. They don't belong here.
So the rights of other people don't count? I mean, to live?
No, Kate Steinle, Laken Riley, these are people that don't matter to the left. They don't care. They're just Native Americans. And even worse, they're white. So that's terrible. So God forbid that they have any rights. Yeah, no, it's look, I mean, it's insane to see these people. They actually voted against the Laken Riley. It wasn't Mazie Hirono, it was Jalala Powell from Washington, the naturalized American. She was whining that, their fundamental rights will be violated. What rights? They have no rights.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, she's like, I think it's okay for those who committed murder and rape to be deported, but not those who are just accused of shoplifting. Accused? No. You talked about those convicted of rape and murder, and then you say those accused. No. It's not the same. They're not doing the same thing. So if they're arrested for a crime and convicted of the crime, they're deported. If they're arrested and their status is found to be illegal, they're deported immediately. If they're arrested after murdering somebody and raping somebody, then they get prosecuted and they do jail time before deportation, or they get executed if it's a right state.
Absolutely. So. Yep. And I agree with all that. It should be. Yep. But that's the left. They'll set it up one way where you agree with them, and then they'll set it up a different way. And it's all about the words that they use. Like you just you gave the example.
It's frustrating. Accused. Yeah, exactly. So, what's frustrating for me, John, is we saw this with Bill O'Reilly. He was hot on this topic for a long time before he left Fox News. The murder of Kate Steinle, and then the murderer went unpunished. The criminal alien invader who was in this country multiple times, a convicted felon, carrying a firearm around, and not even convicted of that crime, murdered Kate Steinle over a decade ago, and she's been forgotten about. They talk about Laken Riley because it just happened, but this was another case of a criminal alien invader, and this was a canary in the coal mine years ago. And people have forgotten about Kate Steinle. I shall not forget about Kate Steinle. I never knew her, but her life was snuffed out because of failed immigration policy and allowing criminals to be in our midst, John.
Absolutely. So we got about I don't know 20 seconds left. We didn't get on the TikTok ban. Do you think guys real quickly? Do you think that the Supreme Court's going to come through, or do you think TikTok's done come Sunday?
First Amendment. Not done. I have TikTok. I'll be able to access it, so they can't stop me. You just won't be able to download it. They can't stop my free speech. But I think TikTok will survive in one way or another. It's too big a platform, too much money to be made from it, and too many crooked politicians who want campaign donations. So I think it'll survive one way or another.
I agree.
Awesome.
All right, is that it? See you next week, folks, right here on the Common Sense Conservatives.